Mean-Muggin with Chinny G. Welcome everybody. Tonight I'm joined by Jake Hirsch out of, where are you, in Cochrane, Jake?
Yeah, you betcha.
Can I get some ice cream sent up?
McKay's ice cream is pretty famous over there, huh?
Everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. So, for those of you that don't know Jake Hirsch, he does the Plenty of Fish podcast with Dean Panis, his partner in crime, as it were. So, how's life treating you, buddy?
Life is good, man. I want to say thank you for inviting me on the show. I'm really honored to be on the Chinny G show, man.
Well, I'm honored to have you on here. I listen to your shows, and I like them.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Is that a beer
we haven't put out a Plenty of Fists in a... Yeah. You know what? We haven't put out a Plenty of Fists in a little while, and I've been taking a break from it for a little bit, just because, you know, I kind of go through these ups and downs, Chinny, where sometimes I'm really in love with MMA, and other times I can't stand it, man. You know? Yeah,
it depends what's going on, eh? A lot of the time. I know with what I do, aside from the interviews, it's hard to gather enough material to go as much as I'd like to go. That's why I branched into the interviews. Because I'm a media whore. Mean-Muggin media whore.
Well, you know what? You've had some great guests on the show, man, and congratulations on all the success. You've been tearing it up, man. Really proud of you.
Yeah, I like to keep busy. I like to get out there, and for me, it's you know, I've been part of different sites on Facebook and whatnot, and I kind of found what everybody was doing to be really stale and generic. You know what I mean? So I decided I want to take my own road, eh? This is what I came up with.
No, it's good, man. It's great. You know what? And I agree with you. You know, I haven't been doing that Plenty of Fish podcast for very long, but I have been doing, you know, shows for quite a while, and especially with MMA, man. I think you're right. I think that there's a lot of repeat stuff out there, and it gets stale. It gets really tired of just listening to the same breakdowns and the same guests, and no one really focuses a lot on local talent, right? Western Canadian or just Canadian talent, period.
Right. And I think, too, is, you know, I see a lot of the interviews that are done, and I hear the interviewer doing all the talking most of the time. And I think, well, wait a minute, you're interviewing the fighter for a reason. You know?
Exactly.
You know, like,
absolutely.
Everybody knows who I am. If they watch the show, they do. If you don't, Mean-Muggin, you're missing out. But, you know, and so that's pretty important to me, that, you know, it gives people a chance to connect with the athlete on a personal level, as opposed to the generic, here's my 10-question bullshit. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I don't.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, no, I was going to say that, like, and you know what, the wonderful thing about doing a show like yours or like mine is that everybody has a story. Everybody has some type of a story, some background, some tale that they haven't told yet, and I think that we're really good at bringing those types of stories out, right, and listening to what people have to say. And I don't think, you know, as you mentioned, I don't think enough shows do that. They don't give people the real opportunity to tell their stories, or it's all, you know, how hard was your camp, you know, what are you looking for in this next fight, what do you think of your opponent. It doesn't really get down to the bare bones of who these people are.
Yeah. And like as you know, I'm kind of friends with Ryan Ford. We get along quite well. And oh yeah, check it out, man.
Oh, that's awesome! You got your corner VIP pass.
Yeah, only $220. I had a media friend of mine. He contacted me when I posted this today, and he says, "How did you get that so fast?" I said, "I paid $220 for it." He said, "What?" He said, "Why would you do that?" I said, "Well, why not?" He says, "Well, you could get a media pass." I said, "Maybe not. You don't know, right? It's a crapshoot.
Exactly.
It's a crapshoot. This way, I'm in. I'm in, and I help support. I help support the fighter I'm buying it off of.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. And you know what? Eventually it's going to get to the point of where you're so, your show rather is going to be, the place to be for interviews and the place to go to for news and all that type of stuff. That, like, thank God I've been in that position now where people, give me the free passes to go, and I cash in that card as much as I can. But guys like Darren Owen and some of the promoters, obviously with the World Series of Fighting and stuff like that, I know they appreciate the coverage. I know they appreciate you interviewing your fighters and stuff like that, man. And I think if you continue doing your thing, man, it's just gonna keep on blowing up, brother. So
I really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun for me too, right? It's not just for me, it's like I said to the guy that talked to me today. He said, "Well, geez, man, I could have gotten the immediate pass. I would have taken your $200." I said, I'm passionate enough about what I do that I don't mind coughing up the $200.
Exactly.
It's just
exactly.
And like I said, it's a crapshoot with media pass, especially in Edmonton.
Sure.
Where it's such a the community is so involved in taking these events in. So
that's right. That's right. Yeah. No. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So big news out of Bellator today. They signed heck of a talent Reebok deal. What do you think, buddy?
Oh man, you know what? I always get scared when I got into this business. I'll tell you right now. I got into this business back in around 92, 93, just after high school. After I graduated high school, that's how long I've been in this business for. And back then, people dreamed of corporate sponsorships. People dreamed of these massive deals, and and that was something that I don't think people back then ever really believed would be attainable for this sport. So anytime I see Burger King logo in the middle of the mat, anytime I see a whether it be a Reebok deal, of course the terms and conditions of these deals are always very interesting. And it always keeps my interest peaked.
You're looking at my beer.
Tasty. But no, like especially these entertainment these big corporate sponsors and stuff like that. It excites me, but then it also kind of frightens me a bit because I know the corporate grab and the corporate hold that some of these companies can actually have on some of these companies or on some of these fighters and sponsors.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's necessarily great for the fighters, but I think it's good for the sport in general to align themselves with everyday name brand corporations. I think that it kind of brings a bit more of a level of acceptance of our sport, and I think it also gives us a certain level of some real genuineness and validity, I think, to our sport. And I don't think that we have enough of that. It's always been a beer sponsor. Combat sports, whether it be boxing or whether it be wrestling, it's always associated with Budweiser, Tecate beers, the party crowd, right? So to have a big sponsor like that, like Reebok, again, I think it's a good thing, but I also think it can be a very dangerous thing too.
Well, I think with the pay scale that they released, for sure, I think it's a bonus to the fighter, to the other promotions, to have the fighters say, "Wait a minute, I can't make the money I need to make here." You got guys.
Absolutely.
You got guys that are through their sponsorship. We're talking 6 figures a fight through sponsorships.
Absolutely.
And to go from 6 figures a fight to $2,500 a fight, the math won't work.
Absolutely, and they're taking money out of fighters' pocket, and although, like I said, it's good for the sport in a sense of bringing some validity and bringing some concrete sponsors. I understand the UFC needs to count on a budget. I know that promotions need to count on certain marketing dollars and sponsorship dollars, but at the end of the day, I think people lose sight of the fact that it's the athletes out there that are bleeding. It's the athletes out there that are sweating. And it's their backbone that promotions like that are able to survive off of.
Right.
I mean, you're only as good as your roster of fighters.
That's
right. If you don't take care of those guys, you're not going to have a promotion.
That's right. And, let's face it, the UFC's not going anywhere. they're fine, right? And
Absolutely.
you know, like I hear people talking about McGregor. Well, look at the money he's making off Reebok. Well, yeah, but that's a separate sponsorship from the UFC sponsorship, and people got to grasp that, you know. And if,
Absolutely. Yeah.
even young Paige Van Zandt came in and snagged the deal, you know. But if you've got that marketability, and somebody says, "Wait a minute, superstar, we got to invest in this person," of course, that's what they're going to do.
Right. You know, and I also think that, you know, guys like, you know, you bring up guys like Ryan Ford. I mean, prime example of someone who knows how to market themselves, and he's a master at that. Ryan is well, first off, he's a great guy. He's a very good friend of mine as well. But this is a guy that never has to worry about aligning himself with companies that are willing to invest in him, because they know that he's very marketable. They know that he's very social. They know that he has a huge fan base. But make no mistake about it, that was all Ryan Ford busting his ass to make himself marketable.
Sure was.
It wasn't companies injecting or infusing money into Ryan's pocket and saying, become this character or become this, you know, this guy in MMA. Ryan has built his brand image by himself.
Yeah.
And he's had a lot of good help along the way. But I think the problem, as you said, was that with some of these sponsorship deals with Reebok and stuff like that, these guys were, you know, they're pulling in, like you said, 6-figure numbers, and then now all of a sudden you have to conform to what the UFC, what your employer is basically telling you to wear a uniform now.
Yeah. I think that's wonky. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
Well, no, it strips individuality, right?
Yeah. I mean, I come from the old school. I came from a place back when fighters would beg to fight on cards, and they would do it for free just to get their name out there, and they would just, you know, I just want to be on this card. I just want to be on a card with Tito Ortiz, or I just want to be on. And this was like back in the Huntington Beach days of you know, like I said, 1994, 1995. Guys like Razor Rob, you know, McCullough, you know, all these big names from, you know, Rampage Jackson. Funny story about Rampage Jackson I'll have to tell you at some point as well. But all these guys back then were just looking to make a name for themselves and willing to do anything. And back then, the biggest sponsor was a Tap Out. And Tap Out was giving away free shirts. I mean, back then, that was all that they could really afford. I mean, they were selling T-shirts out of the back of their vehicles in parking lots and stuff like that. So to see it come to this point for the sport, I think is wonderful. But at the same time, if we're not going to reimburse, if we're not going to, you know, take care of our fighters financially, then we have to give them the tools and the freedom to do it themselves.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah.
You know, I've talked to Ryan a few times, and you know, he said for him, even before the sponsorship deal came out with Reebok, for him it just wouldn't be economically responsible for him to go to the UFC and fight.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of guys that make that choice. You know, you look at guys like who's that black belt out of Vancouver Viviano Fernandez. Viviano, he fights for ONE FC out in Asia, some promotion out there. Because they take care of him. He makes a lot of money. He's able to do sponsorships. He's got TV deals, stuff like that.
Yeah.
If he were to go to the UFC at this point, same thing with Ryan Ford, they're not going to make that type of money. They're just not going to do it.
Not even close.
No.
And, you know, and the sad thing is that not everybody has the business sense of a Ryan Ford. You know, so these guys, they really get, you know, taken advantage of, to the fact that they just don't know. And
that's right.
You get, you know, like I follow quite a few different people, and it's amazing who can decide that they're a manager for a fighter.
Yeah, you know, and that's the thing, right? I mean, like I said, I started managing guys a very, very long time ago, from day, and I'll, you know, I learned from my cousin who used to manage, you know, Rampage Jackson and all those guys down in Huntington Beach. So for me, this was a family business. For me, this was something that I got into because my cousin was very knowledgeable on it, and he shared a lot of information with me and a lot of contacts, stuff like that. But back in the day, I think it was I think there was only really 2 or 3 agents in Western Canada. There was myself, there was Lee Mean, and maybe a gym owner at some. I think Bill Mahood or one of those guys was out doing it in BC. But it amazed me to see the sport grow to where it's been, and to see so many people come out of the wood to work and call themselves agents, call themselves managers, call themselves anything to align themselves. And I've seen this happen. I've seen clients get poached before from other agents. I've seen people, get poached inside locker rooms. Oh, how much money did your manager make you? I got, $2,000 for this fight. I could have got you 10. That's why you should sign with me and my agency. So I've seen every manager work their bullshit magic. And at the end of the day, you really have to be careful of who you entrust your career to, and I think that's a very big thing for young fighters, and I can't stress that enough. And I probably don't talk about it enough, being that myself and Dean were both managing fighters for such a long period of time. Fighters really have to make sure that they align themselves with the right people, and don't get caught up with all the bullshit. Oh, we do your financial planning, and nobody's making enough money for you to have a financial planner in MMA. Trust me, you're making $100,000. You know how to spend $100,000, but it's the guys that, and I've always said this, it's easy to manage fighters that are in the UFC because you have sponsors knocking down your door. You've got people wanting appearances. You've got people that want seminars. You're basically a personal assistant for your fighter in the UFC. It's the agents that call you when the UFC cut you. Those are the guys that keep you busy. That are the true agents, guys who will find you fights, who will find you paydays, that will keep money in your pocket and food on your table when nobody else wants you, when you're not hot anymore, when nobody cares to book you for the UFC, right? Those are the guys that are good agents, the guys that are there with you from the very beginning.
Well, who I'm really impressed with in what they're doing right now is Tim Hague. This guy,
Tim is making some interesting moves.
Isn't he though? I mean, man. He's over in England right now. He just got there.
That's right.
And
I saw him on my Instagram today. He was
he's like pretty banged,
he's taking lots of selfies over there.
Yeah. And he's got a video interview he's doing tomorrow and whatnot. Right. But here's a guy. Now he got cut from the UFC, and it took him a while. He went through some turmoil, as we all do in our lives. At some point, it just happened. No one's immune from it. And sure. he's kind of rising from the ashes, man, like a phoenix. You know what I mean? He's doing some awesome shit. And and he's probably one of the nicest guys you ever want to meet, too. Absolutely. And I can't.
Tim. Amazing guy.
And I've heard a lot of people say, well, he's doing this bare knuckle fighting thing. What's that? Well, it's still combat sports. And he's doing some, look what he's doing. I mean, he's going on a little tour of Europe while he's over there. He's going to Paris. He's going to Amsterdam, I believe he said. He's got some shit happening. This is stuff he hasn't done before. This is new to him. And what a great thing for a guy from the prairies, This is a guy who grew up I think he grew up in Boyle. I mean, And if you know Boyle, it'll fit on your ass. It'll fit on your ass.
Absolutely. Yeah, small town. And I mean, Tim, I think Tim unfairly gets a lot of grief. I mean, I've had personal phone calls with fighters from other gyms that have said really negative stuff about Tim. I can only go off of what I know. I can only go off of what I've seen and what I've experienced firsthand. It's the same thing. Hey, if you're in this business and you got people telling you to stay away from X, Y, and Z because of their reputation or whatever, you got to form your own opinions of people. And like it that Tim is on social media, like it that Tim markets himself a great deal, love him or hate him, he's doing something. You got to respect it because he's making money. He's putting food on his table. He's really good with sponsors. He knows how to market himself very, very well. And here's a guy that he's 32 years old or something like that. He's just put away 4 huge fights over the last year. He fought 3 times in 2014, 1 time in 2015. And this is a guy that, like you said, man, I mean, like a phoenix rising from the ashes.
Yeah.
He's doing himself really, really well.
And he's happy. You can see it, man. You know,
absolutely.
He's got that.
This last fight with Tanner Bozier, this last fight that Tim fought, I honestly think that was a new Tim. And nothing to take away from Tanner. Tanner's a young, exciting fighter. He's a great talent. But I think from a management perspective, it was a very tough fight for Tanner to take. Mentally, aspect-wise, it's a very tough fight to step into the octagon with a guy like Tim, who's got so much experience. But nonetheless, you know what? It was an exciting fight. You know, it happened very short. But, hey, man, Tim is doing his thing. And you know, like I said, love him or hate him, you got to respect him.
You bet. And Tanner Bozier, he'll be actually up here at King of the Cage here on the 12th in Cold Lake.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Are you going to that?
I am. Dino set me up with seating.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Hey, man, Dino's great for that stuff. He's a very connected guy.
Yes. And, yeah.
Dino is, you know what, Dino, I honestly, here's the thing, man, is that I feel bad a lot of times because Dino is a guy that no matter what I'm down for, he's always down. So whether it be a podcast, whether it's, hey, man, I want to manage fighters, I want to get back in it, Dino is my go-to guy. He's always, hey, I'm right there with you. Whatever you want to do. He's very patient with me because I'm one of those, I'm fucking mental when it comes to MMA. I get too involved, man. I get too into it, and it's just it's a very emotional thing for me because I know these guys. I know a lot of these guys for a very, very long time. I've seen where the sport's gone in Canada. I'm very passionate about because there's a lot of people out there, Chinny, that are like, who's this Jake guy? And you know, he's got a podcast, great, but you know, why did people, you know, take his word, you know, or you know, why did people value his opinion so much? And it's not because I'm some, you know, known person in the MMA game for being, you know, a celebrity or being a great
You're a fucking guru. Jake's a guru. Mean-Muggin gurus.
I think I've always been the type of guy to really push people to their limit as far as believing in them and knowing what they're capable of. I'm a great cheerleader for fighters, and my heart and soul is in it, man. And so when I see MMA go in certain directions at times, when I don't agree with it, or I don't like where it's going, or I don't like the outcome. The last story I did, one of the last stories I did was a piece with Mike Russell, and I'm sure you heard about it, about some of the stuff going on with the Edmonton Combative Sports Commission, and I ended up writing quite a lengthy post on Top MMA News, and that was kind of my, I felt like I needed to set my opinion out there to some people and really voice my dissatisfaction for the way that people were you know, treating this piece. And I get it, man. I know that there's a lot of promoters out there that rely on the Edmonton Combative Sports Commission. I know there's a lot of people that rely on that for a paycheck, and they, you know, want to be in a really good book with them. But at the same time, hey, you know what? We can never improve practices if we don't question the way that the old ones have been formed, and we don't look at the way that, you know, some of these commissions are set up. We're entrusting these people on these commissions to look after us, to look after our fighters, to look after promoters, and to give them a fair shake and give them a fair chance. And when we don't see those things happening and we bring it to the public eye, not everyone's going to like it.
No.
But you have to respect the fact that people are asking the right questions about it.
Well, nothing changes, right, unless somebody does. And that's just the bottom line. If you know, we've heard it all our lives, the squeaky wheel gets the oil, right? You know?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And if somebody's not willing to step up and say, whoa, what you're doing is fucking wrong, it's
exactly.
You know, they're just going to keep doing it because nobody questions us.
Absolutely.
You know.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? The good thing about it is, Chinny, is that the more shows like my show, the more shows like your show, where you're not going to just be a puppet for a commission, you're not going to be a puppet for a promoter, you're not going to be afraid to ask the tougher questions and get to the bottom of it. There's a lot of guys that come on my show that I'm fans of, and that I don't want to piss off, or I don't want to ruffle their feathers or whatever. And I'm pretty good about that. I'm pretty respectful. I don't believe in ambushing people. I don't believe in guerrilla journalism. I don't do that shit. But at the end of the day, I will ask questions that are going to probably be uncomfortable at some point or another. But I think it's good. I think it's shows like yours, shows like mine that keep asking those tough questions.
Yeah. And right now, but I'm going to change things off a little bit. Like, we're coming into a really great time in MMA in Alberta right now. We got a lot of shit going on, man. We got Unified going on. We got, I believe that's on the 27th.
Yeah.
We got World Series of Fighting 21 going on the 5th of June. Then that's followed by KOTC here in Cold Lake. Followed by Havoc. In Red Deer, Alberta, Havoc 9. Great card, by the way. Check them out, guys.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fights coming up. There's one up in Yellowknife, I think, as well. I think it's called Warrior Strong Fight League. I haven't heard of it before, but it's good to see some of these communities and some of the smaller towns get some promotions and make it exciting again.
I actually got a buddy of mine. Who was it? Was it Austin? Austin Clark is up there? Not G. Clark. Austin Clark. I think I saw
Austin Clark.
I saw him on Facebook posting up there. Just the other day. Yeah. Just the other day.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, you got promotions like Battlefield and Sonny. I had Sonny on my show recently.
Yes, great show, by the way.
Unified. Yeah, man. Some really good shows. I'm really looking for, Sonny always puts out a really consistent product. He makes some really interesting fights happen. And, he's one of those guys that come up. Sonny's very sneaky, man, because you get a lot of supporters who make a ton of noise and are big personalities. Sonny's not like that, right? Sonny is very respectable. He's very quiet. He's very reserved. But he's behind the scenes and he's making some really interesting moves in the MMA game, man.
He is. And I've actually heard talkings of, just recently, I was talking with a friend of mine, and I'm hearing murmurings of MSC coming back up here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, as well as
I would love that. Yeah.
As well as Titan. Just some squawking.
Oh, wow.
Just some noises I've been hearing. Nothing's confirmed yet, but I'm hearing noise. Yeah, I'm hearing noise.
Actually, you know what? That would be really exciting. Titan has been a consistent promoter for a very long time. They're out of the States, obviously.
Yeah.
And they've been very good to Canadian fighters. Canadian fighters have fought for them quite a bit. You know what, MFC. Hey, if Mark Pavlich were to come back, and whether it be under Mark's banner or not, whether it be Mark running it or not, I'm a very good friend of Mr. Pavlich's. I always have been a very long time. And it's I don't know if it was a break that Mark necessarily felt that he wanted to take because he lost his love of MMA, as more opposed to the fact that his other business is doing very well and keeps him very busy.
Right.
And I think everybody kind of goes through those ups and downs, right? Where you get really excited about MMA, and then there's other times when you're just like, man, what the last card I had might have fallen apart, or we could have had a lot of injuries, or a lot of people, maybe the guys didn't come in at weight and we lost 2 or 3 fights off the card, or sponsors didn't pay, or the city wants to charge more money for their fees, or there's a thousand things that other people don't know goes on behind the scenes at these MMA events that, and everybody gets paid, the promoter gets paid last, and hey, if you don't have a packed crowd, you're paying for empty seats, whether they're filled, or not.
That's right.
It's a lot of money. So I think when these guys take a break, and I really do hope that Mark is taking a break and that he is going to make a comeback, because I really love the NFC, and I really love the product and the brand that Mark has built. He puts on very exciting cards and very exciting fights. I don't like the bullshit promoter versus promoter stuff. But Mark is one of those, because, you know how it is, right? There was a time there in our MMA community where promoters, they couldn't work together. Yeah. They couldn't talk to each other, because it's either I'm stealing your fighter, I'm having my event on the same night, I'm fighting you for the event, booking, whatever the case is, or no, I'm going to steal this guy away from you because I'm going to wave some more money in front of his face. I don't like that bullshit part of the business. I just like knowing that all these promotions can come and operate and put on a really good show. That's all I care about as a fan, right?
Oh, man. Buddy of mine, a friend of yours, DL Photography, Darren Langlois.
Yes.
Yeah, he'll be coming up here. Yeah, I'll see him all over the place, man. Next little bit.
Darren's a great guy, man.
Yeah.
He's a good dude, you know. He came out to the house. I've got a studio. He came out to the studio, and we hung out for the afternoon. And man, such a good guy. And it's great meeting such humble people in the business. Because there are a lot of sharks out there, and I probably sound a little bit bitter or whatever, but you know, the old man's bitching over here. But it's good to meet guys like that. I know Darren is just a solid guy, and you know what? The sad part about it is that in this business, we have this implanted in our brain, in our psyche already. We've already accepted that we do a lot of things for free, and we shouldn't do those things for free. This is a business at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Everybody gets paid. Nobody deserves to do shit. Darren's one of those guys that he doesn't care if he's getting paid or not. He'll still drive up and he'll shoot shows. If the promoter doesn't have a big budget, Darren will take a couple of hundred. I don't mean to, sound like he's willing to take whatever he can get.
Yeah.
But it's because of his love and his passion for the sport that he's willing to do some of those things.
Yeah. I had him on the show too. He was.
That was a great interview, man. That was really good.
I don't think he likes the camera very much. I think he felt a little uncomfortable with the camera. And for people like that, if you're watching, if you're uncomfortable with the camera, we can do it telephone, no problem.
We just get some more.
But no, I'm really like John, even John McDessie, I did him via telephone last night, and it went really well for him, and I like nothing better to have a guest on the show that can carry the conversation, and I don't have to, I don't have to drill them I don't have to hammer the questions at them or nothing like that, which is good for me because I'm a fan, as you know, I'm a big fan, and for me to just sit back and listen to it is fantastic for me, Well,
you know what? I've always told people that is that because a lot of people have asked me over the years, what's the draw? What's the MMA draw? Like what is it besides a couple of guys going in the cage and beating the shit out of each other? I think it's the community, man. I think it's the people you meet. It's the experiences you have. It's the places you go, and it's the fights that you get to watch that really draw people in. But one of the big things I think, Chinny, is that how accessible people are in this business. There's not a lot of airs of confidence out there. You got guys, of course, like John Bones Jones and guys like, you got guys that have that marquee, Conor McGregor and stuff like that. Guys like us. We love personalities like that because they can come on the show, they can talk a bunch of shit or whatever. But the beautiful part about doing these types of shows as well, or for fans even, is that one, how accessible people are, how they don't have this pretentiousness, they don't have this image, they don't have these things where, it's like Ryan Ford saying, I'm too fucking cool to be on your show. No, Ryan Ford will do your show because he appreciates the fans. He appreciates people. And a lot of other sports, you can't do that, man. You can't reach out to a guy on Twitter from the NFL and have him say, I'll come on and do your show. And we're talking about fighters who are at the very top, the highest echelon they can get. Guys like John McDessie, who's fought numerous times in the UFC, who's just a good guy, nice guy, and will take the time to make your show a very important part of his day. Right?
And you know what? It was a big deal for me, having John on last night. And,
absolutely.
And they're appreciative of the fact that I'm asking them to be on the show, which is cool too. They don't sit there on that high horse. Another guy I really enjoyed was Smilino the Prince Rama. What a fantastic kid, man. Just a great guy.
Yeah, Smilino, I call him my little brother, even though he could, and I mean, I'm 40 years old, right? And
how humbling it is to be around a young guy who's 21. I could be Shalino's dad. And Chinny could take me out behind the woodshed and lay a whipping on me. That kid, it's just, man, on a different level.
Yeah.
And to see him, I've had the pleasure of seeing him work out. I've seen that. I've had the pleasure. We live in the same town. He's been out to the studio a couple of times. We've had some great chats, man, in person. And you can't ask for a nicer guy, man. This guy is the kid who has his head on straight and knows what he's doing. And not only himself, man, but the team that this guy's built around him. Guys like Coach Vlad Goldenstein and some of the wrestlers that he gets to, spar with and stuff like that. I mean, this is the kid that if he's got his head on this straight at 21, 22 years old, you can only imagine where he's going to be when he's 28 or 29.
Yeah. He just had the birthday, actually. He's 23 now.
He did?
Yeah, end of April.
Absolutely,
yeah.
23. That's right.
And I've had the chance to chat with Vlad on social media. And here's a great guy too.
Right.
I mean, I'd love to get him on the show. He says to me, well, I have a pretty thick Russian accent. I said, well, have you been watching MMA lately? People gotta get used to that shit.
Anytime you put on Bellator, man, you need a translator half the time.
Yeah.
Half those guys from Russia, you can't understand a thing that those guys are saying, but no, you're right, man. Absolutely. No, great guy, great team behind him, and such a future superstar, man. I mean, I don't think he gets enough press being such a young guy, being a champion, and
you know what?
The way this guy fights like a featherweight, for God's sake.
I know, it's amazing, and like I watched him win his belt against MeanMuggin, and wow, it was like, what the fuck just happened? I mean, you can see it, you know what happened, but it was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Because people were saying he didn't have a chance against MeanMuggin. What?
I get nervous every time a friend of mine fights. Chinny used to be a client. Not only a client, but of course a dear friend and someone I consider family. And so when he took that head kick from Anthony Johnson, or not Anthony Johnson, whatever that guy was from MSC.
Yeah, his only loss. Yeah.
That was Anthony Hamilton, I think his name was. I was there for that, and I ran backstage. I wanted to make sure that he was okay, and I mean, it gets very emotional when you have friends that are in the business that you see fight, put it out all on the line. They work these long camps. They make a ton of sacrifices to see them step in and have something happen. But I truly believe he needed to get that loss out of the way. I think he needed to get that. I think he had a ton of expectations on his shoulders. And if you've noticed, since that fight, he has cleaned up everybody in his path, and to a point of there has been zero doubt. Because I think that when fighters of that caliber and of that ranking, there's a lot of pressure on them not only to perform well, but to carry on these unblemished records of being undefeated and stuff. It's not realistic. If you're undefeated in this sport, a lot of times it's because you're not fighting the right people.
Right.
But he's a guy that doesn't turn down fights. You could tell Chinny, hey, you're fighting the devil on Friday night, and he would ask you, what time do I need to be there? Because he's going to fight no matter what, right? But yeah, like watching someone like that and do so well it's just an honor that we get a guy like that from here in Alberta, that we get the privilege of going and watching.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, if I was a fan from Tennessee, I don't have that opportunity to go and watch a guy like Chinny step into the ring like that.
Right. Are you going to make it up for World Series of Fighting 21?
You know what? Here's one of the shows that I'm not going to be able to make. My brother gets married on June 6th, so I've got a lot of best man and groomsmen duties to keep me busy here. It's going to be, I think, one of the very few fights I'm going to miss of Chinny not being there and watching him perform. But yeah, you know what? Even as a fan, as someone who used to manage guys and who's been in the business for a long time, I got a bunch of crazy superstitions, man. Sometimes I show up to fights and the guy loses. Sometimes I used to have the superstition, Chinny, where if I wrapped your hands behind stage, I used to wrap fighters' hands, and if I wrapped your hands, you would win. And so all the fighters that I wrapped, everybody was coming to me saying, hey, man, wrap my hands for me, wrap my hands for me. Because I had this weird, fucking delusion that if I wrapped your hands, you were going to be blessed outside the ring, man. It was something crazy. And then I wrapped Nathan Gunn's hands before he fought Pete Spratt at MFC. And of course, that was the knockout of the year. My client, he went face first on the mat. And, oh man, that was the end of me wrapping hands. I said, I'm not doing this anymore.
Dude, you got clanked. Sorry about that.
Yeah. You know what? I was there for the Anthony Hamilton knockout. But hey, I've been to all of his fights since. I've seen him, win in amazing fashion. And there's no doubt about it. No superstition involved in this one. I have a good feeling. I'm very confident that Chino's going to come out of this, still holding on to his belt for sure.
I agree. And big things ahead for him, man. Big things ahead for him.
Oh,
he's ranked number 3 in the world at heavyweight right now.
It's unbelievable,
Isn't
man.
it?
It's unbelievable.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's a local guy, very, very humble. He doesn't get out there. He doesn't talk a lot of shit. He doesn't get into it with the people. He does his talking in the ring. He's very confident like that. But it's always fun, watching these guys and how they handle pressure, how they handle stress, and he's just one of those guys that just knows how to, he knows how to manage that stuff very, very well.
Yeah, you know what, and you mentioned earlier how he doesn't get enough press and whatnot, and I agree with you. But you know what, in all honesty, in talking with him, he could care less.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things, honestly, that probably work for him, because he doesn't have to worry about giving 100 interviews and interrupting, some of his camps and stuff like that. Yeah. He's very focused, and when he needs to make time, obviously, when you fight at that level, you have to make yourself available for the build-ups for the TV shows and some of the behind the scenes, and when World Series of Fighting wants to do profiles on you. I mean, obviously, you got to make yourself available to the media, but I think it's almost doing him a favor that he doesn't have to worry about, going on there and having to explain himself 25 times, going out there and having to talk about what he's doing different in this fight camp and what he's not doing. But you know what? When he is in an interview and when he is doing something media-wise, man, you can't ask for a better guest, man. The guy's smooth as, he's smooth as silk. He melts you like butter, and he's a good dude, man.
Did you see him on the show?
I sure did. Absolutely.
And you know what? He made time. It was Greek Orthodox Easter.
That's right.
When we did that show.
Yeah.
And he totally made the time.
Wait for food, man. You got yourself a good show, Chinny G. You can pull the Greek away from some of that food.
But you know what I really enjoyed about it was he was actually my first interview.
That's right.
I had not done an interview before that. And what I really enjoyed about that interview was he looked like he had a really good time doing it. And for me, that's kind of what I'm after for the way I do things. Right. You know what I mean? I want them, when somebody comes on the show, I want them to know they can be chilled and relaxed and not have to worry about, watching what I got to say or,
Right.
Just be yourself.
Having that freedom, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Having that freedom, I think, relaxes a lot of people, and especially if you're at that echelon of your career where you are highly regarded and people are watching what you're saying. It's refreshing not having to worry about, can I cuss on this guy's show? Can I give my honest opinion about it? Am I going to slander somebody? Am I going to, am I going to piss somebody off? Sometimes if people give you that environment to sit and chill with, man, it's amazing what comes out, man. It's great.
Oh, it's really nice. Even, same thing, actually everybody I've had on the show has been like that so far. They just, I tell them, no set questions. We're just we're two guys shooting the shit about MMA.
Supposed to.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Absolutely, man. That's, hey, Joe Rogan has, made, quite a nice career for himself on the podcast and the things, doing the exact same thing, man. So it's a good thing.
Yeah. I should sue him. I'm suing you, Joe.
That's one of the funniest things, though, about guys like Rogan, right? Is that that's the beauty of his podcast. I don't listen to all of his shows. Once in a while I'll tune into, if he's got a guest on there. But one of the great things I like about his show, and I like about your show as well, is that I'm not going to turn it on and it's going to be the same question every episode. I can turn on your show. I can turn on Rogan's show and 1 minute he's talking about catch wrestling with Josh Arnett, and the next minute he's talking about quantum fucking physics with some scientists from NASA. It's amazing. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With me, you just got to worry about me riding my daughter's bike all over the place.
Oh no, man! You got you're well on your way, man. You're there's, I always say there's not enough out there, right? There's not enough good people in this game out there to keep it going, and we need that, man. We need shows like yours. We need people to come on and just talk and to not feel pressured to say the right thing all the time or to talk about the same shit all the time, man. These people need outlets more than just MMA.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I also a big fan of your show, as you know. And
Thank you.
who was it? I really enjoyed. I believe it was on the same show you had Sonny on. Was it Darren Cliff? Was he on that episode?
Darren Cliff, I believe.
Yeah. I really enjoyed him.
Darren
I actually friended him on Facebook after that episode.
Oh, such a good dude, and you know what? It's great meeting some of these promoters that and I grouped Darren Owen into this thing as well. Darren Owen is a type of guy that doesn't beat his chest. He's not out there, being this grandiose personality where it's all about him and the show's all about have to do with Darren and how well he's doing it. Darren Cliff and Darren Owen both. They consistently put out good cards. They constantly bring great MMA shows to the cities in which they promote in. And I don't think, it's very easy to point out bad things that happen. This fight fell off the card, or this is the matchup that I wanted to see, or, why isn't it on Friday night instead of Thursday? Or, people have, if you give a chimp enough reasons to monkey around, he'll fucking monkey around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But guys like Darren Owen and Darren Cliff, man, they're consistent. And like I said on my post on Top MMA News, man, like I got pretty pissed off about it because I said, I don't know why a lot of these guys continuously work so hard behind the scenes to bring quality shows to cities where you read about it on the internet and people tear them apart. They tear apart cards. They tear apart fighters. And it's all anonymous. It's all, pussy keyboard warriors.
Yeah.
I'm going off on a rant now, Chinny.
Oh, go hard, man.
These guys sit behind their, computers and they talk shit. And you know what? It takes a lot for a promoter to put his balls on the line, to put his wallet on the line, and to go out there and make these shows happen, and to be able to put these cards together, and to go out on the internet and read some of these comments, man. You're just like, what's the motivation here? What's the inspiration here for me to keep doing this if I'm going to keep getting shit on? Or these fighters to keep fighting and they just keep getting, crapped on the internet. I mean, you look at guys like Marcus Hicks. Marcus Hicks has done a tremendous job turning his fighting career around.
Yeah.
The guy's super talented. He's taken it serious. He's done really well in his last fights. The weight thing has become an issue, but it looks like he's on top of stuff now. It looks like he's taking it really serious. So to see guys like that get continuously crapped on, guys like Tim Hay, like that, it makes you feel bad, and it makes me feel bad for some of the promoters. But I digress. Darren Owen, Darren Cliff, these promoters, and even Sonny with Unified, Ken Kutch with KOTC. People bash on KOTC all the time because of their pay scales and stuff like that. Well, that's what they fucking do. That's what they're there for. They're there to give fighters a break and to get their first shot. These guys, the same guys that are talking shit, they could have been saying the same shit 20 years ago when fighters were doing it for the same price tag. And it's not about how much money the fighter's making. It's about the opportunity. I look at it a little bit, I don't know. I think about it a little bit outside the box. I'm probably a little bit unorthodox in this line of thinking. But for your first couple of fights, if you're making 250 and 250 or 300 and 300, I mean, yeah, is it chump change? Absolutely it is. You're going to be lucky if you have enough money to take the old lady out for supper after the fight. But at the same time, it's your job to use the promoter as much as the promoter is using you. And it's the same thing in comedy, like a comedy club. You talk to some of these comics and you're like, you look at a guy like Kevin Hart, who's making millions and millions of dollars out in the movie industry, in the comedy industry, but he still goes and does those, laugh stops, and he'll still go do the Comedy Store, and he'll go do stand-up for free. He'll do it for $50, and he'll go, why does he do those things? It's because he's using the club owner to get more fans.
Right.
Because he knows that if he goes out there and he does a great set, he's making fans. Those people are going to follow him when he leaves the club. They're going to go to his next show. They're going to buy his next movie. They're going to rent his next comedy album. And it's the same thing with fighters. If you go out there and you use that stage, whether it be the cage, the ring, the octagon, whatever it is, to market yourself, to put on a good show, you're getting fans. You're taking people with you.
That's right.
The promoters got one shot, man. Yeah, they got one shot to fill the seats. They got to, they got to make money off of, drink tickets and food and all that type of shit. It's the fighter's job to make fans out of the crowd.
Yeah.
To take those people with you. Those are the guys that are going to be staying loyal. The promoter is just opening the door to an arena full of people that you can impress.
Yeah.
It's up to the fighter to do that.
Yeah. I did almost a whole episode on keyboard warriors.
Love the episode, man. I saw that episode. That's the one, man. That was great.
They drive me nuts. I see it all the time, just like you do, And, it's so easy to forget for the, I don't know, we call them casual fan, what the fuck you want to call them. But these people tend to forget that fighters they're just people too, man. They're just people too. And doing a job that that the guy that's beaten off couldn't do if his life depended on it, It takes a certain breed of warrior to step into a cage or into a boxing ring or onto the competition mats. It takes a different breed of person to do that. And to say, well, this person's a pussy or that fuck, it drives me nuts, man. It just drives me nuts.
No, I know.
And
yeah.
Like even the worst fighter, that's not, maybe he's not that good a fighter, but he still has the stones to go in there and step across from another guy who's coming in there to do him harm.
Absolutely.
Fucking patty cake going on.
Yeah. And you know what? What's funny is that it's these same people that talk so much shit that you know what? I always say, being a matchmaker in this business is a very tough thing to do. I did some matchmaking. I matchmade for Sandy Bowman over at Prestige FC up in Fort Mac. I did some of those cards. And you really need a certain formula. You need a really certain magic to put together a really good fight card. There's got to be the right amount of submissions, so it's not overly boring, the right amount of knockouts, the right amount of fights for it to go to decision, to make the night stretch out to be what it needs to be. Because we've had those, you've seen some of those cards where, the fights are over in 1 hour because everyone doesn't know what they're doing and they're getting their ass kicked in the first minute of the fight. So they're just bringing fighters out and they're trying to fill up time and all that. So to match make a card where you're going to see a certain amount of knockouts, a certain amount of submissions, a certain amount of fights going to the decision, those are all very important things to have to promote your cards with and to keep fans happy. So it's those same guys that are making jokes and criticizing fighters because they only lasted a round or two, or it was a boring fight or whatever. Hey, not everybody that goes to an MMA show is a fan. Not everybody that goes there knows a lot of history about mixed martial arts. So it could be that guy that got knocked out in 30 seconds or in 6 seconds or whatever, that's the reason why people are going to go and buy more tickets to come and see the sport. You shouldn't be bad on these guys. These guys are providing entertainment for you. I can guarantee you back in the Christian days, man, not every gladiator won a spectacular performance. Some guys bled out backstage after getting stabbed, by a lion or some shit. You know what I mean? So we got to appreciate who goes out there to perform for us, whether it be someone who's new or whether it's someone out there who puts on an amazing show. I mean, everybody brings something to the table to make a fight card great.
Speaking of somebody I'm really impressed with right now, and I have been for a while now, Hakeem Dawood.
Yes.
This kid, what a beast, eh? Is he a monster?
I had the pleasure. I've got a lot of history here in Alberta with MMA and some of the coaches in the gyms here, obviously. Hakeem's coaches I know very well, Mr. Ajar and Mike Miles from Mike Miles National Kickboxing Academy.
Brian Bird from, oh man, the name escapes me right now, but Brian's a huge coach, Champions Creed MMA, where Hakeem trains his MMA out of. I went to Brian Bird. I saw him at the fight after Hakeem's fight, and I said, Brian, get this guy on my show, man. And Hakeem was, I had him on my show. Great guy, great kid, got his head on straight, so confident. And when you watch him work in the ring, man, it's nothing but amazing. Like, you see some of these guys. I've always had this conversation with guys like with Mark Paddles. We've had these conversations where there's certain types of fighters out there. There's certain guys out there that are like myself. I'm not a sport fighter. You need to, scratch my car, call my mom a whore, sucker punch me for me to get wound up, right? There's other guys out there, they don't need that. They don't need for there to be a beef. They don't need for there to be any type of hatred with each other. These guys, they'll just step in and fight. And afterwards, they were perfectly fine giving each other a hug and a handshake. For me, it's got to be personal. I got to get amped up. I got to get upset about it. I got to get emotional about it. Hakeem is one of these guys who doesn't need motivation for a fight. He's just, I honestly believe he was born in the wrong era, man. This guy is a warrior. Like, he could have been back in the days of Genghis Khan and would have been a huge thing. You know what I mean? Like, these guys are warriors. And Hakeem, he's got that magic where he knows when to turn it on. And I've seen him do his work inside the cage, and just the amount of fierceness and aggressiveness that this kid can pour out when he needs to is unbelievable, man. Like, you don't see some of that stuff unless you see some of the marquee fighters. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and he's very patient. He's and when he goes on the offensive, he's a tactician, man. His striking is pinpoint, and he's fast.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Beautiful.
And what I love about him is that he's not afraid to take on all comers. You won't see that guy. I mean, if anybody turns down a fight, it's going to be from his camp. It's not going to be him turning down a fight from somebody else, man. That guy, he's not afraid. And I think what a lot of people forget too is that experience speaks for so much about your MMA career. He's got a very extensive history in Muay Thai, and he's very comfortable and he's very confident in the ring. He knows what he can do. So when you teach someone like that, a high-level striking guy, jiu-jitsu, and Brian Bird's got some amazing jiu-jitsu. I mean, he's been around. I started with Brian, way back as a white belt, and Brian, he's one of those guys that just never quit, man. He built a dynasty, and he's got some amazing fighters under his roof. And so for him to teach a guy like Hakeem the ground game when you've got such an amazing striking guy, that just makes for a sick combination.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I actually have Hakeem tapped to be on the show. We just got to work out a time. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. For me, it's really cool. Because, I know a lot of fighters, more so now than I did a few months back. I know a lot of fighters. I know a lot of fighters, and even on the elite level, if we want to talk Bellator and UFC, and there are some guys that I wouldn't mind having on the show at that level, and there are others where I just don't care. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I
feel you, man.
But when I get somebody, when I see somebody fight like Hakeem Dowdell fights, like Ryan Ford fights, like Rama fights, JDS, these types of guys. Now these guys get my attention. And I don't get me wrong, I would have Ben Askren on my show in a heartbeat. I love the grappling aspect too, but there are some guys that just have that sick warrior mentality that just they're just so much fun, and those are the guys that are fun to talk to too.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? Like, you get a lot of one-dimensional fighters and guys like, I'm not grouping, like you said, Ben Askren. He's a very talented athlete, but there's really not a lot of bang and a lot of zip to his personality. He plays a good heel. Someone like Andrew McInnes, who he's a master at talking shit. Andrew's very good at getting underneath people's skin, and he's a very confident guy, and he's a very talented fighter. That's the type of guy I want to see fight. I want to see Andrew fight. And there's a lot of people out there that they don't want to see these guys fight because they love them. it's going to be, it's like Tim Hague, right? A lot of guys go to Tim Hague's fight to see if he's going to get his ass kicked, so that they can rub it in his face afterwards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but for me, like you said, some of these guys, man, they got personality. They can really, when you know that they're on a card, it's not going to be the same thing. If I go watch a Ben Askren fight card, I'm going to know that probably somewhere in the second or third round, Ben's going to put the guy to sleep with a wrestling move, or he's going to just lay and prey on top of him. He's going to hump him out for 3 rounds, right? But these other guys, you don't know if Ryan Ford is going to do a